I wish making fire was as easy as rubbing some sticks together. I spent ages reworking and revisiting fire in my game Deity. The main concept behind it was that it should deal damage over time and should spread between enemies for an area of effect. It's supposed to be the opposite of ice attacks, which deal a large amount of damage to a single target, but that's for another video. It started looking like this, which I did with a simple fragment shader that would scroll through noise. For a while it was good enough until I found out that if you have too many of them, it destroys my computer because of the transparency in the flame and the smoke. Godot doesn't like transparency, so it should be avoided when possible. But it was so bad that you could lag the game just by sending a few arrows through a fire. I knew it needed to change, but I wasn't sure how. Mechanics wise, theoretically it's straightforward, but apparently not. Because fire could spread between enemies, there could be two flaming enemies standing next to each other, continuously reigniting one another until the end of time. The solution was actually pretty obvious. When the fire spreads, it should lose some duration, and it can only spread if it has a high enough duration. Now the fire can spread widely, but within limits. Around the time when I was settling the mechanics, I decided to look again into the visual side of things. I experimented with this vertex shader fire for a while, but still I wasn't satisfied. It just didn't fit the style of the rest of the game. Another mechanics issue is the different types of fires. Some maps have fire already in them, so I needed a distinct, permanent kind of fire. Then of course flaming enemies had to have fire on them, but this fire needed to be only visual and not harmful, because the harming comes from the part of the code that manages status effects. But these visual fires still needed some functionality because they needed to spread to other enemies. So after figuring that all out, I looked at the visuals again and had a spark of inspiration. The fire that you've been seeing is the final version, so here's how it was made. First, I took some randomly generated noise and scrolled it upwards. The brightest parts are the flames, and the darkest parts should be transparent. Then I took a gradient and subtracted it from the noise, so the noise gets darker the higher it goes. From there it just needed some color, and there you go. From there I rendered a bunch of frames and used a bit of Photoshop magic to loop the animation. I think the final part that really sells it, instead of using traditional alpha transparency, I became the first developer in history to use the hash option. With the visual side of things finally done, there was still some polishing to be done. There was a rare issue where if you hit an enemy with a fireball, but the enemy died instantly, then the fire wouldn't spread around. It was really unsatisfying, so I wrote a little code for enemies that die from fire. Now they check if there's any flammable things around them, and attempt to spread the fire. And that's about all with fire in my game. You can wishlist on Steam if you please, otherwise, have a nice day.